Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes, to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together. Hello. Here we are again, and we are so excited to bring you Ronnie Loaiza. She is going to be talking with us today about some interesting things, right? She's got an interesting take on things, and we need to hear this. And, she's got a science background, behavioral science. She is a certified habit coach. She is also a master certified professional life coach, as well as a certified personal trainer. And she's really dedicated to helping people reach their small to big goals. Who doesn't want that? And to build their habits. But she's got such a unique way of going about it. I think this is going to intrigue you and surprise you and open up your perspective on some new ways to look through this lens, especially in regard to some of the top sellers out there that tell us how to set habits, right? She's actually got years of coaching experience. I know she's been in media, radio. She has things inside of her that you're just going to be lit up, right? And she leans into supporting you, really supporting you and celebrating you, which Alex and I, as you know, are all about that, right? The celebration activates the RAS, keeps the brain in motion. We're wired for reward. We talk about these things. And Ronnie, what do you do when you're not coaching? Tell us.
Well, I just got to tell you, when you said RIS, I giggled because I'm like, oh, she's speaking my language. Like when Trekkies talk to each other.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're definitely all about we're total science geeks. And,
Yes, we are.
our friends here on the podcast with us are high achievers like we are, who are multi-passionate, are doing many wonderful, powerful things in the world. And when we start to understand how we're wired, we have instant tools available to us. But yeah, share more. I want to hear more about you. Lean in more, because it's been amazing meeting you and getting to know you.
Well, thank you. No, I really gravitated to you, not just through your podcast, but just your personality when I met you. And Alex, I'm meeting you, but I was telling you before we got on that I feel like I know you because I listened to your podcast. So that must feel weird. Yes, like you said, I used to be in the media a long time ago, and I was a news anchor reporter. And in my mid 40s, health issues finally got me to look at my health. I had a bad back. Long story short, fast forward, I really wasn't watering the grass in journalism anymore because it was changing, and I was on TV, and then I went on radio, and just the whole field started changing in local news. I'm not talking about the network level. I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And the only reason I stayed in, and this has a lot to do with my coaching, when I coach people through transition, I stayed in a little too long for the same reason people stay in marriages a little too long and other relationships a little too long, because people think, but on paper,
it's so great. Relate, right?
Yeah, it looks great. People thought I was weird, or like, what are you kidding me? You're on TV. Why would you want to leave that? So I stayed on for several years because I was there. So people thought it was a big deal. No, it wasn't. Come on. I was a little fish in a big pond. I was in LA, so I was a little fish. But it's just the fact that everybody wanted that goal and thought it was great. No, I didn't feel fulfilled. So and I now really relate all this wisdom and lived experience and all the dumb things I did and all the smart things I did in my 20s and 30s and 40s started culminating like, oh yeah, I get you. I hear you. I understand, you know,
Yeah.
or like when I wanted to, I'm sorry, I'm not being cynical, but I am. When I when I first was told that you should be a life coach, you should really coach, da da da. I was like, what the heck's a life coach? I was really skeptical. Like everybody wanted to be a Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. But the thing is, when I became a personal trainer in my mid 40s, leaving, I stayed with radio for a good 9 years, even while I was becoming a personal trainer. I was that for several years.
That's a
But
significant amount of time.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I loved radio. Oh my God, that mic is so intimate. I really dug it. And I didn't get the comments anymore about my looks because as women age,
Yeah.
I just have to tell you this real quick. I was not in Los Angeles, but another market, and I forgot to wear my glasses in the newsroom. Sometimes they go to the reporter in the middle of the newsroom, and you have to read the prompter.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have time to put my contacts in, so I
Yeah.
put on my glasses. My news director actually called me in and said he got a couple of emails. Remember emails? Because it was before before people texted, and he's like, "You were wearing your glasses?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, they don't like that. What? Did they listen to the story, or like
Yeah.
one viewer didn't like my eyebrows because they were seagull shaped, and so I looked wicked.
Oh,
I just I'm like, this is news, but
you can't please people. Yeah.
but would you say that to a man anchor? And I'm not throwing in the woman card, but it was a fact.
Yeah.
It just was. So anyway, I loved radio, but I became a personal trainer in my late 40s. I'm like, who does that? I was up against all these 20-year-olds here in La La Land in Los Angeles, but because of my health issues,
Yeah.
went after like um, five chiropractors, two Western medical doctors, acupuncture, you name it, decompression. I still felt pain. Two of the doctors wanted to operate at the time, fuse my back. I was aging. I had degenerative disc disease. That's when you're losing the marrow, not the marrow, the liquid between your vertebra, right?
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, I'm getting old. Okay. I had pounded my body in my 20s and 30s because I used to jog, remember that word? And I
Yeah.
used to do aerobics. It's now called cardio. So
Yeah.
finally, after a few years, my husband said, hey, I met with this chiropractor at this health fair. I'm like, I've been a chiropractor. And he's like, well, just go. He really listened. He's like, I think you just banged your body up and you need to learn how to work out better if you don't want to get an operation. I'm like, okay. He put me with a corrective exercise personal trainer
Wow.
for a year. Within 2 weeks, I didn't hurt anymore.
Wow.
I learned how to weight lift properly because before I was all cardio and I was so into it. Maybe it's what made me a good reporter that I used to read about health and kinesthesiology and all that. That she's like, you need to be a personal trainer. You need to be a personal trainer. I'm like, at my age? So finally I got over the whole age thing and I woke up one day, I'm like, I think I'll be a personal trainer.
Wow. How did you
And
get over the age thing? What did you do?
it was interesting, but I think what sold me then, which is not who I am now, but then it's all about marketing and will it work and will I make money at it?
Yeah.
Will I succeed? Will I get clients? Was that
Yeah.
my trainer said, you are in better shape now. You even look better. I had a better physique. And you're 45. She told me this when I was 45. She's like, then when you came to me, you are
Mm.
your own walking billboard. And as you get older, people your
Yeah.
age and older will believe you.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And people used to cheer
Powerful.
her 'cause she was like in competitions and looked the part, and she was in her early 30s. So men especially pick a lot of trainers because of how the man trainer looks. And I want to look like you, or because she's a pretty trainer if it's a
Yeah.
woman. So I was like, you're right. And that just convinced me. I'm like, you're right. They'll relate to me. So anyway, I became a trainer when I was 46. And my main thing as I was training people was to form a habit. I was doing it even back then. I didn't care if you worked out for 5 minutes or an hour. Do it every day. Do something every day. I don't care if it's just biceps. I don't care if you go to the gym and people watch. Show up. And I'm serious. I would even tell people, like, as long as you go, I'll celebrate you. They
Mhm.
would inevitably do something, right?
Right.
And
The
fast forward,
consistency. You were,
Well, it's in the
yeah.
body, right? Like I think another trainer once said, like, even if it's just step one, you drive to the parking lot. And then step two, get out of the car and you go into the gym, right? It's just developing the skill, right? There's another example, like you're not running a marathon overnight. You've got to
Yeah.
start by putting the shoe on, opening the front door, taking the first step. So that habit, that
It
developing.
forms.
I like that, putting the shoe on.
Yeah.
The one shoe on. I used to tell people, it's like, I just don't feel like it. I'm like, I get you. The hardest part of working out for me is tying that shoe.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of a workout is the shower afterward. I
Yeah.
get it. So even back then, and then as I became a life coach, when I started coaching people post pandemic or during the pandemic, really, is
Yeah.
because my clients were telling me, my sister, my friend, whoever, my boss, they're not taking care of themselves. They're not working out. And these are
Yeah.
leaders, these are boss babes. And I'm like, okay, so do you want me to talk to them? So I would talk to them. I wasn't trying to sell them personal training. I would just talk to them. I would listen and we'd work out why. And it's so interesting, Alex and Carol. Most of the reasons had nothing to do with, I don't have time, because we had time then.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any of that. It was because of something in their brain. The kids were home working out on the dining room table. Their partner was home. And these are women who pull their big girl pants up, but they felt self-conscious working out, or they felt nervous about not being indispensable for their team at work.
Yeah.
We used to be on emails like at 9 at night and always available, or if you worked for a company, you didn't want to be furloughed. So there were anxious times. So we would figure out what's the real challenge, and then one tiny step at a time. Do something 5 minutes in the morning or do something in the afternoon. Talk to the family. Said, this is mommy's time. Let's set up the area so that you can work out in the garage,
Yeah.
whatever. We
No,
found solutions, and then I held them accountable and celebrated them. That's when
mm,
people started telling me, you should coach. And that's when I was like, what the heck's a life coach? But I looked into it, took it seriously, became the ICF coach, loved the science behind it. Again, the geek part,
yeah.
the behavior change, the cognitive behavioral science behind it.
Yeah.
And once I got my practice, I kept going because as I had to start getting clients past pro bono, that's part of being certified.
Yeah.
Um, I would post on LinkedIn and things like that. And I got my first two clients were men, and it had nothing to do with working out. I was kind of scared. They wanted to work on career growth. One of them wanted to change, and he's like, I'm 57. I don't know if I can go for a new career at this point, especially in these times. They're not hiring. I could relate. I was like,
Yeah.
so I started coaching in other areas. I thought I would be a fitness coach. It ended up that I was every aspect of your life impacts the other aspect.
I
Whether you
love the way you're talking about evolution here, like the way things evolved and rolled, and you had the flexibility and adaptability to go, oh, yeah, here I am. I've got my certifications. Like you were leaning into really knowing who you are and what your strengths are and how you could help people outside of the box of just training, personal training, or even setting a habit, right? To career growth, to, those uncertainty pieces. And I think that's really important that we all lean in and listen to that we can have our niches. We can be the specialists that we are. I'm a specialist in what I do, but you were able to expand that, open the doors, and receive what, you were meant to receive and give what you were meant to give in that.
yeah, and the thing you said the word but,
I
it's interesting.
did. I did. Thank you. Call me out. Yes.
No, and in mind, it just made me think of it because
Yeah.
I've gotten in the habit of throwing out that word but. The
Yeah.
first thing a lot of people do is, yeah, but when my
I
clients get,
hate that word, so that's
Yeah,
funny
when
that
they
you
it's
caught
like
me.
that's the
Yeah.
brain stopping you. When you hear the but, you know that that's the brain. That's the
It's
brain.
exactly right.
it's
Yes.
like putting up the hand right in front in between you two and going, no. It's like a
Yeah.
mental barrier. It's yes, and, or I don't like doing this and
Yeah.
I'm doing it anyway. I
Yeah.
am scared and I'm doing it. That way you're not lying to your brain. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Your brain, our brains are not, how can I say, they don't have emotions, they don't judge us. Our brain
Right.
is just a computer. We're the ones with our values, with our experience, with our
Yeah.
fears, give the definition of good and bad, right?
Yeah.
So good habit, bad habit alike. Your brain doesn't know the difference. It just knows the dopamine.
It
It
just
just knows
follows the
war.
instructions. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, it's what I do. And when you ignore those, I'm going ahead of myself, but to form a habit or even to have a habit, something in the subconscious, rapid fire triggers that action, right? Let's say
Yeah.
a bad habit, good
Right.
habit. We don't think about it. Our habits make up our morning routine. It's not one big habit, it's a series of habits. So when you ignore the activation, let's say you're trying to form a new habit and you turn off the alarm and don't do it, or you ignore the post-its because it's become part of the wallpaper,
Yeah.
your brain just knows ignoring that trigger is what we do. Oh, that's what she does.
Mhm.
We don't go to bed when we set the alarm. We keep watching TV. Or yeah, we ignore the fact that we know we want to get off social media right now and
Yeah.
maybe read something nice,
We hit the
because
snooze
that's what
button.
your
Yeah.
brain is in the habit of doing. So it doesn't know it's a bad thing,
Yeah.
It's
you
just the
know?
habit behind the decision
Yeah.
that's
Right.
leading to your action and obviously the result, whether it's good or bad, as you said, right? Whatever the thing is,
Right.
And
right?
I thought,
You gotta get reverse engineer the trigger that's then down spiraling the outcome that you're getting from that.
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
the way you tied that in with it, it's always a both and, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're always looking at the both and of this. Yeah.
So, like in work, for example, I know a lot of business people listen to this. Well, we're all in business, we all work. But let's say we want to do those dreaded emails or work on that project we've been thinking about, that launch or whatever. And we either keep procrastinating or we're so overwhelmed because everything's important, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to prioritize, or just that thing that you want to do that will make you more productive, better time management, whatever it is. It's when you just do one tiny little action and then repeat, rinse and repeat. Not only will it get you on track, it will keep you on track on that. And when it becomes a habit, even if it's that one sales call or that one email or that one whatever,
Yeah.
even if it's the minimal amount, you're still progressing. You're not stalled. So,
Yeah.
and it's usually more and it usually grows, especially when you start seeing the results and it starts feeling less uncomfortable. Or maybe you'll always feel uncomfortable on a
Right.
sales call and
Ronnie,
you're doing it anyway.
I have a question in regard to that. Like, how do you coach a client who has built the habit? They've been consistent. Maybe they've been doing something for 5 years or whatever, and then they lose it. What happens? What do you like? What kind of a process do you take them through when that happens? I've experienced that, so I know other people have experienced that.
You've lost the habit or you've lost the
Yeah,
desire.
lost the habit. Like I was consistently doing something over and over, and then all of a sudden I'm not doing it anymore, and I don't know where it went or why.
Well,
So
that's what I'm asking you. Did you, from one day to another, just not do it like Forrest Gump stopped running?
it might have been, I'm not thinking of anything specific right
Okay.
now, and but
I mean,
I kind of feel
Yes,
like
I
please.
really
it's
feel
been like
like when I moved to
the
Panama,
paint. Say that again, Alex.
my move to Panama, right? Like I was
Yeah,
very consistent with certain things, and then all of a sudden, like things that I was doing very consistently without even thinking about it, right? Super automatic. And then we came here and now yeah, it's not, I guess I would have thought it would have been so much easier to get back to the routine, and it
yeah,
isn't. I really have to consciously be aware of it and really looking at, okay, how am I setting this up? Which is very interesting. I think that's what triggered for me, Carol, when you
yeah,
said that was like, I'm
Well, it's,
really,
you just answered your own question. So thank you for answering that. There is a distinct difference between routines and habits.
yes,
Okay. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting because I was just in a summit for divorce. It was called the D Shift Summit. And life changes. Your life changes. When you go through divorce, even if it was amicable and it was your idea and you know it's a good thing, your life changes. Your
yeah,
identity changes, right?
yeah,
And it's your basic habits, you're ingrained no matter what. It's weird if you don't, are the ones that carry you. And I'm thinking self care. But
yeah,
let's say in the work thing, you change locations and culture and the way of normally doing things. So even for Carol, I'm sure it didn't drop from one day to another. You didn't stop brushing
no,
your teeth from one day to another.
yeah,
Something changed in your life. And sometimes I bet you, but I don't know, I would have to know the specific example. But from my experience with clients, it's not the habit that dropped, it's that routine, something about your routine changed
great
for a need.
distinction. Yeah,
Yeah, a
Right.
need for it. So it's really your basic habits that carry you. But then when your life changes, you're never too old and never too set in your ways to create and replace an old one. And I say that because I've spoken to many, many people creating new lives in their 50s and 60s and even 70s.
Yeah.
And they can. All of a sudden they go through gray divorce, or maybe it has nothing to do with divorce, but both people are changing. Or even if you're not married, you decide to change a career or go for that passion project, or the kids are out of the house, your life is changing. Or you move. You move to Panama or Costa Rica or whatever, your life changes and you can be excited about it, but your brain is going, whoa, 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 this is new. Even as excited as you are, and
Yeah.
even if you decided to, everything's different. Our brain doesn't like change because back when we were lizards, change meant danger.
Yes. Yeah. We get into that survival mode, And the example that came to me was like I was really consistent for the time to build the habit to drink lemon water before I drank my coffee. And then one day I was like, I had that awareness that came that I wasn't even aware that I had been dropping the ball on that. So, that uncertainty, we talk a lot, as you know, about the brain the brain sees familiarity as safety. And so that difference, that distinction of the habit and the routine being thrown off
Yeah.
is such powerful distinction because it can help it to start to understand, oh, where did I go awry? Okay, my routine has changed. I've moved locations. I'm in a new place, and now I can take a step back and I can get back to the habit that I desire to have, right?
And it's
Uh,
also choosing the right action. This may sound silly, but it's minuscule. Since you brought it up, I don't know. Do you enjoy, like, wow, this is awesome, your lemon water? Or is it just because you know you should and it's not that bad?
I love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Because often people follow a diet or they follow a challenge or a detox, 5 month, a 5 day challenge or three
Yeah.
week challenge, and it's temporary. It's not something you were doing anyway.
Right.
But back to the taste. People start on, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to stop eating at this point, or I'm going to work out, and then it stops. It's not what you were doing in the first place. So pick something that you like. When I was just totally training, all the time, full time, people would ask me, like, should I do Pilates or should I do cardio? Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Which will you do? Not
Yeah.
can you do,
There
not
you
should you do, which will you do when you least feel like it? Which one do you actually like?
Yeah.
Because you have to start with something you like. I don't like water. Oh my God, I'm a heathen being in nutrition and health. I don't like straight water. I
Mhm.
don't hate it, but I'm like, meh. And I especially don't like it with food. But I've gotten in the habit of having herbal tea, no caffeine before my coffee in the morning,
Yeah.
because you have hormones in your system that if you put caffeine in first, it still keeps you lethargic. It works. It's the antithesis of waking you up, believe it or not. So that's what I've gotten into. I love the herbal teas, and then it's my reward at 9:30 a.m. I can have my first coffee. So you got to find what you will do and what you like. The minimal amount. People always, when I start them on the habit creation, at first we go to the why, always, like, why, what is your real goal? Get really clear. And a lot of times the goal changes and your why. And I know we always hear this, but that's because it's necessary.
Yeah.
People often skip that step. It's like scrubbing in before surgery. It's necessary. So you have to find, well, why do you want that? And that's when the goal changes. Like, they don't really want this. They want this. And this is why. The reason
Yeah.
why is real. And then when we start habit creating, there's always a list of 10. I say, come up with 5 ideas of actions, not habits, actions that will, with repetition, become a habit. And they're like 10. At first, they think it's too much, but they usually do. And then we rank them. Like, is this enjoyable? Is it doable? Is it effective? All that stuff. And then you can see, rank them from 1 to 5, the top ones. And you don't have to choose the top one. You can choose the bottom one. You're an adult. So they always want to do 2 or 3 or 4. Like, well, I can do these 3. Yes, you can. Don't. Pick one. Focus on one. That's it. That's
Yeah.
enough change. And so you have to start tiny and small and repeat and repeat and repeat and
Yeah.
go on with the repetition. That's what forms a habit. And by
That's
the way, you probably
such
talked about this in your
wisdom.
podcast, but the time it takes to form a habit is a myth. Meta
Yeah.
studies show, and meta, you compile different studies from different locations,
Yeah.
different ages, all of that.
Yeah.
The meta studies show in 2025 that typical habits take 85 to 185 days to form. That
Yeah.
whole 21 days was a marketing thing. We
Yes.
now have AI. Look it up. Somebody in a Madman advertising kind of thing was like, 21, it's doable. People don't think it's too long, but it's long enough to look really scientific. Boom, they went
Yeah,
with it takes 21 days. It takes 30 days, whatever. It depends who you are and what the action is. It
it
really does.
does.
It's the repetition that counts, not the length of time.
I
One we
agree.
know also with like neuroprogramming, right? Your new habit has to erase the old one, and the old one's much stronger. So Carol and I often will talk about that, right? It's like, yeah, it can take 21 days, but if you miss a day after 21, it's no good because you still have the old neural pathway that's still that old network that's still
Yeah.
attached. So
Yeah.
you have to get to that, our sort of magic numbers are that 67 day. So you have to make sure that your now new habits erase that old pattern, right? So I love, Ronnie, that you're reiterating this, right?
Yes.
And even saying that we're saying 2025 isn't longer, which doesn't surprise me with how busy and noisy and just like life in general, right? Like I think so many people are trying to do so much. They're trying to eat the whole elephant all at once, right? It's just
Yes.
like, and it's then like restart and restart and restart. And it's just like, look at, I mean, I always love habit stacking. I know I've been always very successful with that because there's a reason why that can support you with forming that new habit, right? But we got to think about it's like identifying it, replacing, we got to erase it. And if you're not going long enough, you're not going to actually erase the old pattern, which is going to be completely, it's going to come back, right? But I do find it very interesting when you talk about the routine and change because and I'm just curious about this because we're talking about like a morning routine that I like, embedded for years that I would think, right? Okay, I moved location, but my morning routine is my morning routine. I should be able to do it anywhere. I'm really curious to know underneath that is like why is it maybe harder even though this is something like a morning routine that we've done consistently for years that is so automatic, right? That we've primed in, but by change of environment, by interruption in routine, it's like you feel like you get to restart again. And also being okay with that because
Yeah.
it's like again, this like should, I mean, right? And I'm sharing from my personal, like it's been very fascinating looking at this. Like, wow, this is so interesting. Like in theory, I believe it's like natural, but it's very interesting to look at. It's not as automatic
No, it's not.
to get right back into what you have known as familiar in a routine now in a new environment.
Well, it's very interesting that you brought that up. I'm really glad you did because I'm going to use exercise because it's the easiest example. But I am in the habit of, I like to work out at the very end of the day after all my work, running around. I work on Zoom as well, and everything I have to do. So I like to be my own client at the very end of the day after I've taken care of everything
I
else.
love that.
I
Yeah,
work out
I
at
like to
six.
be my own client. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I haven't, it's in my calendar. It's all color coded. My color's purple. I know that's when I'm working out. But if you see my calendar, if you're watching this, my hand is going up and down because it's not at the same time. It's usually during the week, even
Yeah.
on Saturdays if we don't go out, usually around 6, sometimes 5:30, sometimes 6:30. But here's the thing. If I know we're going to go out on a Saturday night, I'm not going to go, no, I have to work out first. I'll work out earlier because the time, even though that's what gets you into the habit, I'm going to do this at this time in this context or location. You have to write that out and then give yourself a plan B. Here's the plan B. If mud hits the windshield, if the kid's school calls, if whatever, a client needs me, then it's the if, fill in the blank, then fill in the blank. I will do it at this time
Mm,
because the habit is
love
just
that.
doing the thing. When
Yeah.
I travel, I okay, since I'm used to working out in the evening, when I travel, I don't want to impose on the rest of the family, or if it's just me and my husband, but we got to get back to the hotel, or I got to, before we go out to dinner, I have to work out. No, because I don't know where we'll be. Usually we're out being adventurous. So I get up first thing in the morning before everybody else. If the hotel has a fitness area, now they call them the gym, love it. If they don't, I'll go outside. If they don't, I'll find a way. I have actually worked out in a hotel lobby because they didn't have a gym and it was too
Yeah.
cold. They didn't mind. And people were getting that complimentary coffee on their way out and they look at me. It's like I was doing it. But the thing, one time I was going around, there's this big hotel with with floors, but the hallways were outside, and then there was balconies, and you could look down to the lounge, the lobby of the
Yeah.
hotel. I had my resistance band and I was doing the side outer thighs where you walk around the entire gym. I was doing that around the hallways. People saw me. So I have no shame. But the thing is, my habit was working out first thing in the morning, took a shower, I'm good for the rest of the day. So it doesn't matter where we end up that day. I wasn't, because your brain, your habits, I should say, prioritize the most essential thing to you. For me, it's obviously working out. I feel weird and ucky if I don't. That said, if you fly like 20 hours, you're going to go for a day without working out.
Yeah.
That's okay because you know you're in shape and your brain's like, that's all right. Because I've also trained, I'm in the habit of eating, not overeating, and I know that I feel good because of all the back workouts I've done, and I know I'll work out in the future. So it's okay as you're in transition. It's just, but it does still feel a little weird, you know?
Mhm.
So if you're transitioning in your morning habits, that's okay because your main priority habits, your habits actually prioritize for you. You know it's the most important thing to do in the morning, even if you skip two or three things, right?
I really love that you brought out the if then
Mhm.
exercise. I think
Mhm.
that's such a powerful brain exercise for us. Well, we're by mind, body, spirit, to be able to just sit still and um, I think it's super important that we be able to do that, right? To be able, I just got a phone call right now, sorry. So I
Oh,
got
it's a,
distracted. But yeah, to be able to put to the page with an exercise. Okay, this is my priority. This is really important to me. I'm wanting to do this, but how do I do this, right? And so I think that is something where you're counting the variables in that can happen and you're setting your plan. And you're really speaking into the Pareto principle too, the 80-20 rule. Small changes bring big results. Taking that baby step. How do you walk 1,000 miles? One step at a time. And if this happens, then I'm going to do this. It might not happen after a 20-hour flight, I'm going to be okay. I can put my exercise bands on and walk around the hotel. I can, be able to make adjustments. Okay, we've got a dinner at 6. I'm going to work out at 4 today. I think it's so powerful and helpful to lean into that.
yeah. And I don't want you to think it's an obsession. It's not an obsession with me because they're probably thinking, well, she's obsessing. No, I'm just used to working out every day, even if it's 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but because it's my thing, but it can be anything that you prioritize. It can be a work habit. But it's interesting since we are talking about health and wellness. A long time ago, and it made me giddy because I was a trainer at the time, I read in a study, I forget his name, Tom Corley. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he
No.
was 60 Minutes, CNN, all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He followed millionaires, which now is like nothing with Bezos around and all them, right? Now it would be billionaires, but the most quote successful people, he followed around millionaires then to see why are they millionaires? Do they have something in common? Is it all mindset? Is it strategy? Whatever. But 73% of them, which is a huge number, 73% of them worked out or did something physically active every single day. And I mean 7 days a week. There was no such thing as rest days or cheat days. Now, here's the thing I thought, well, is that obsessive? No. The thing is, they had the routines. Maybe some of them only worked out 3 times a week or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But the days they didn't, they couldn't sit still. They had to go play frisbee or walk the dog or go
Yeah.
surf or go play golf. They were active, what I call active rest, because to their brain, it was weird if they just sat around all day and ate
Mhm.
Cheetos. Even if they watched football all day Sunday, they'd still get out and do something.
Yeah.
So I found that really interesting. And there was another study that showed about working out. Yes, the willpower. The most successful people have systems in place.
Yeah.
Successful, we're talking dollars, right? When you have a company, you have systems like your CRM and your advertising, your marketing, all that. You have systems, right? And who does what? Well, habits are exactly that. They
Mhm.
are rapid fire, a succession of rapid fire messages to your brain that you don't even think about because it's in the front of your brain. It is subconscious. So the rapid fire triggers and into action. That's a system. Habits are systems. Habits are systemized. So I love that. And our habitual way of thinking as well. Oh, well, let's go back to the willpower. So in this
Isn't
article,
willpower a myth? I'm okay. I want to hear.
yeah, no, that's it. Willpower, it was in this article in Forbes. The most successful people had systems in place in their business so they didn't have to rely on constant willpower. Sure, sometimes you have a launch and you have to work all nighter and yay, you celebrate. But
Yeah.
imagine doing that every day.
Yeah.
Imagine constantly revving up and revving up and revving up that willpower every day. It's exhausting. And that's what leads to burnout. And also, procrastinating is a way of revving up that anti willpower. Like, I can't, I'm fearful, I doubt it, I will. It's exhausting to procrastinate because you're still thinking about it and
Yeah,
thinking you're
open
putting it in the
loops,
back of your
right?
brain. Yeah. So they don't rely on willpower, neither should we because it's exhausting. We shouldn't rely on disciplining ourselves all the time. Discipline, we have given a bad connotation. If we're in the discipline of arts and fine arts, right? That's a discipline in college, or the discipline of philosophy, or the discipline of medicine. But we've turned the verb into a negative. You have to have discipline and be disciplined. You're disciplining yourself. Well, that's kind of harsh. You don't discipline yourself with habits. It's just you. Same thing with motivation. If you're going to sit around and wait to be motivated all the time, maybe you won't feel it. And if you force that motivation, you can only do that so often. So I'm just talking about the crux of the main thing you want to work on where you don't need motivation.
Yeah.
Because your habits will beat motivation any day. Momentum beats motivation. Once you have the momentum, whether it's a little bit today or a lot more tomorrow, it's still on the track and the train is still going. Momentum beats all three of those every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super
Ronnie,
powerful. Also,
sorry, Karen, I just had a quick question. Ronnie, you talked before we started recording about the pre-work that you get to do before reading, you know, these personal development books, these habit books, right? Because I mean,
I was going to ask the exact same question.
you were going to ask the same thing. So I was just, right. And in some ways, I think you may have already answered it, but I'd love to just like reiterate like this pre-work that you're talking about, because oftentimes, like, you know, you'll go list, like you want to change a habit, you're aware of something. So what do? You probably jumping on ChatGPT and asking how to fix it. You're reading personal development books, you're taking a course, you're listening to podcasts, right? But you mentioned the pre-work. So I'm really curious to dive into that a little bit more, because obviously, I mean, we're all about our listener being unleashed unstoppable, which I believe to be unleashed unstoppable with habits and this habit change, especially setting, you know, ourselves up for success in 2026, as we are, you know, we've just entered the new year here. You know, what is this pre-work that we can embody and consider and think about as we're revving up? You know, we've looked at our year ahead, we've set some goals, so we're looking at them from a different angle. So really are, you know, setting ourselves up to win this year with what we tackle on with our goals and our habits and things
and you know, the contrast, you mentioned willpower, of what context to put that in, what works and what doesn't work, you know, because there are a lot of habit books out there.
Yeah, and I think I've read them all. I agree with one. I forgot her name. I'm so bad. I remember what somebody was wearing and that they had 3 kids and what they ate for lunch, and I cannot remember the name. So I've gotten in the habit of not remembering. So I've got to change that. But she wrote a book a long time ago that has to do with personality, and I dug deeper into that just myself. Is well, what makes a personality? It's how you've conditioned yourself and your values and all that, right? Anyway, to answer the first question, I started touching upon it in the why. In set your goal, be really clear on your real goal and your why. But let's say it's a business goal. It's like we want to hit this, blah 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 by then. Okay, why? Because we want to make so much money and make everybody happy. Okay. The why is not so much the long-term goal, which yes, you start with, but then what will you do to get there? That's where people get overwhelmed, or everything's important, or what can I do every day that'll keep me on track, or the team on track? Okay, and that's the why. Get really clear on your daily goals and also your why. The why always hits people. Sometimes it's like, really, this is my why and this is my purpose and this is what I'm, but a lot of times we dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and the why has nothing to do with the original goal.
Yeah.
And it has a lot, but it's not therapy, but it's like, okay, this is why. So, but what I'm talking about is what I have found And I was going to say lamentably, but it's not. At first, I thought it was lamentable and I was worried about it, is when my clients did not succeed.
Yeah.
Yes, I am admitting not all coaches have 100% success with every single client. Why? Because they're not them, they're a separate human being. You can
Yeah.
only take them so far. You can lead the person to water, you can put lemon in it, but if they don't want to drink it, they're not going to beyond you. Okay, when you're watching. So I started really looking at it in the past 2, 3 years. The few, because that's what we concentrate on, isn't it, ladies? We may have 9 out of 10 clients succeed, but it's that one client that's still going through your mind, like, why did she quit? Why didn't she, it's that one. It's like, where did I fail her? Well, when I started seeing 2 or 3, not just with me, but in other things, why they would tell me in our discovery calls, yeah, I started on this and then I just couldn't, because whatever. And the last one is she wanted to get off social media at night in bed. She just couldn't help it. She has to grab her phone and scroll, and then inevitably she falls asleep too late, and then she doesn't wake up in the best mood, but she's got to look at that Instagram. So I'm like, well, what void are you filling?
Yeah.
Man, that hit her more than I thought it would. It just came to me, and it was very emotional.
Yeah.
And it may be different reasons. This is not her reason, but it could be FOMO. It could be we don't have the friendship we want, or not as deep in friendship, or we want to be involved, or darn
Yeah.
it, I've worked hard all day and this is my reward. I deserve it. Same thing for eating. That's our reward. So you got to look at what reward you're getting way before you even start in
Hmm.
the so-called bad habit. And you're the one that calls it bad, right? Because good habit, bad habit alike, your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain just goes, that's what she does, and you get your dopamine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to determine, why don't I want to do this? What void is it filling? Or why am I doing it? Same thing. Why do you want that new habit? What reward do I want? So, in not being able to, or falling off the track, those that don't succeed is because they just couldn't get past admitting the resistance or why. Once I started doing that with clients, the world opened up. We have to go there. Why are you eating that full meal and then still going back to the fridge and eating more when you don't have to? Yes, because it's a bad habit and I can't help it, but there was always a reason why. Like, one, she really wanted to reward herself because she spent all day at work, came home to 4 children. She still had to take some to practice and all that. She did for everybody. And she thought she was doing enough for herself by, well, I walk every day at lunch and I do this. But when she felt a little stressed, it was like eating. It was just her default because, darn it, she worked for it and she deserved it, right?
Yeah.
And that was a bad habit. But she really had to go there and we had to really work through, well, what can make you feel just as good? Not hacks, not hacks. Maybe eat less during dinner. And then for your reward, go back and eat that dessert. It's still the same amount of calories. You're just chopping it.
Mm.
And I took that from my personal training because people are like, oh, you shouldn't eat past 5, you shouldn't eat past 6. I'm like, why not? I eat at 8:30 every night. Because of my schedule. I haven't gained any weight since college.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I lived in Europe for 5 years. Maybe that's where I learned to eat late.
Yeah.
But 1,200 calories is 1,200 calories no matter when you eat. Now, if you factor in your GI, your intestines, if you have, anything, if it bothers you, of course you don't, but it doesn't bother me. I'm very lucky, right? But the thing is, most people I found when I was just a personal trainer or solely a personal trainer is that they eat at 5 or 6 or maybe even 7, and they still stay up till midnight or 11. So it takes 4 hours to fully digest, right? And they're watching TV or doing whatever. So either mindlessly they wanted a snack to fill in that time, or it's just fun. It was in a habit of eating something after dinner while you're watching TV, or they were hungry again.
Mhm.
So we would adjust, like eat 2 meals in the evening, separate it, like eat a little bit of your dinner with the kids. That was the thing. She wanted to eat alone and have some alone time. So I'm like, eat a little dinner with the kids, you spend time with them, and then eat the rest of your meal alone.
The both
Man,
and.
did that open up her world. She could have that ice cream. She could do what she wanted alone. She needed mom time without her spouse and without her kids. So the work that you're talking about is really looking at, if you're thinking of good habits, what reward do you want? What's the outcome? And not just your long-term reward, but your daily reward. Your daily reward. And I'll touch upon that in a second. If you have a bad habit, why? Why do you have that bad habit? What is it that you want? What's missing? Or what void are you filling?
Yeah. Wow. So good, right? So good, so powerful. To be able to address it from both sides of the equation so that you are really getting to things. We teach the power of seven whys, and that's exactly what you were talking about, where you're going beyond that surface level why and you're getting deeper and deeper. Our why is our motivation, it's our fuel.
Yeah.
And so it's a great reminder for me, even with the habits that I am putting in place, as I'm putting in place some new ones right now, to concentrate on that why, because when we get blocked, that's fire, that's
Mhm.
fuel, it's energy. Oh, yeah, this is my why. This is why I'm doing this. This is the reward I want, I
Yeah.
desire. And I just, yeah, I love this. Thank you.
And it makes you happy. But and
Yeah.
then go back to when I said momentum meets motivation. That's when you know your why. And sometimes it's like you need that little push. It's like when you have a habit of doing at least one tiny action, you know at the very least you're staying on track, you're not stalling. And
Yeah.
that makes you happy. It's like, okay, I'm doing this. It's not like I'm not doing anything. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'd also like to,
It builds in our integrity, which builds in our confidence, right? We get confident that we can handle something. We're having integrity with ourselves by keeping our promises to ourselves, and that confidence grows. I think that's important.
When our
it's
brains
true.
it's being integrity with our word, right? Because our brain tracks it. And so if you do build that habit where you don't follow through, it's really reverse engineering that of like, okay, no, I get to make like a tiny little commitment and follow through with it. So now my brain starts to see that I'm the person that is my word and that does fall through what I say, right?
That's
And
huge. And that's where people feel bad about themselves and quit when they keep quitting and finally like, I can't do this because it's rubbing the wrong way against their integrity.
yeah,
Instead of saying, I'm the type of person who, it's like, I am not that type of person. I'm a fake. I'm not doing it. And they feel they're going against their own integrity, their own motivation.
Yeah.
Um, this is very important. When people first started working with me, I was like the take action coach, accountability. And I started noticing that some people really want accountability. They want an accountability partner, they want an
Yeah.
accountability coach, whatever it is. But a lot of people think of accountability as, oh my God, I have to be responsible. And if I didn't do it, they would ghost me and not check in that day
Mhm.
or whatever. So I turned that around. And that is part of the four pillars of developing habit. One of them is accountability. The first one is your activator. The second one is boost your ability. Do you have all the resources, the education, the information, everything, the tools, all of that, right? The support from different people. And the third one is accountability. That's where a lot of people are like, oh, be accountable to you. I'm an adult, whatever. And so I turn into celebrate, celebrative accountability. As you're on your way to do something, here's the word but. Thank you, Carol. I hate doing this and I'm doing it anyway, or I'm doing it. And you don't have to use hate, but I just take that from a client who just did not want to do weights. And she's like, I hate doing this and I'm doing it anyway. It started turning like so neutral. It's like, okay, I don't hate it. She changed the word hate after after like a week.
Yeah.
And as you're doing the thing, I'm doing it. It can just be that straightforward 2 seconds. I'm doing it or doing it. If you say it out loud, and even better, if you write it and say it, more senses, right? Sensory, more senses that fire together, wire together. So if
Yeah.
you say it, it comes out of your chest, your throat, your mouth. You hear it, it goes back into your brain through your ear. And as you're writing it, you're seeing it and you're moving your fingers. The more somatic, the better. But at the very least, say it, and your brain hears it and goes, true, capable, noted, capable, and you're earning that confidence back to your earned confidence. You're earning because you're proving it.
Yeah.
It's your proven capability and your earned confidence. And then afterwards, you can do the happy dance, you can cheer, you can do the high five in the mirror, or just simply done. My clients use Voxer, and when they did the thing, when they're first creating a habit, this one lady's like, I'm not into this old celebration thing. I'm like, okay, what can you do? She found the green check emoji. That's all she did, and it made her happy. It made her so happy. And I'd be like, woohoo, not too overboard because it wasn't her personality, but
Yeah.
celebrate it, because then your brain goes, oh, dopamine. Oh, okay. Even
Yeah.
if you don't like doing something, celebrate the doing of it. Often people think the habit is the end. I finally have the habit or
Yeah.
the end goal. How about
Mm.
the action is the celebration. My
Yeah.
daily action, celebrate that daily action. Get in the habit of celebrating that daily action.
Yeah.
That's your goal, your daily goal. Celebrate that, the actual doing it of it, as opposed to celebrating only the result. Don't wait to celebrate the result. Celebrate doing that action.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And that's so powerful. Our brains are wired for reward. Our
Mm.
mind, body, spirits are wired for reward, and we don't often realize that. And I think when you are acknowledging the action with that celebration, that's giving you that reward and those positive neurotransmitters that you need to continue to experience something. Like one of my fears was, oh, if I go work out, I'm of this age, I'm not going to have the result I want. Well, there's tons of counter evidence to that. It's absolutely not true. So I was believing this lie, right? And then learning to celebrate just taking this step was building in the reward for me. And, I get to keep practicing that. So I think this is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
I was gonna say, kind of, I think sometimes what happens so much with high achievers is like it's looking at the achievement,
Yeah.
and then there's the other thing of the self beat up. Oh, I didn't do like versus just like I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. And just developing that habit of I did it and celebrating that and looking at what, right? It's like shifting the focus of the things that we did achieve versus focusing on what was
Yeah.
missing, right? And it's like,
That's right.
okay, we missed a day. Okay, life happens. And we recommit and we get back into it. And just looking at, as you said, Ronnie, just like one little step each day,
Yeah.
just to make, create that intention, even if it's moving the body for 5 minutes, it's just building up that habit and the consistency. And a second thing that really landed from what you're saying, because I know I was really hard myself, it didn't look a certain way. Like, decided of being a little bit unattached to like working out every day can look very different. It doesn't have to mean like, it doesn't have to be so like black and white. It's like, what is the intention, right? If it's about being healthy and moving body, well, that can look very different, and you can get creative with it if the intention is to move the body versus like hitting the gym every day, right? Is very different. It's like, what is the intention? Is it that you want to hit the gym every day because you want to lift weights and they only have it at the gym, or is it because you want to have more energy, right? And it's like having those conversations and just really asking yourself, what, like, again, it is the why. It's a 7-layer why. I mean, the why that'll make you cry. It's going a little bit deeper, and then looking at how you get to set yourself up to win, to take like one little step and then celebrating it, acknowledging, the completion of it in those bite-sized things versus waiting for like that end game, right?
Exactly. And I take that a little further. Acknowledge yourself as you're doing it. As you're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody likes the marketing thing, which is fabulous and sticks to today, the Nike Just Do It. But have you ever noticed, and I am using the word but in here intentionally, they're always with ads of athletes. Well, duh, it's Nike. However, those athletes, including us, you, me, we're athletes as we're working out, right? That's what it makes us feel like, are already dressed up to work out and are already going to do the thing. So those athletes are already on the Olympic team. Those athletes are already on the basketball team. We're already going to work out. And the just do it is like, all right, I'm shoelaces tied and just do it, right? The thing is, we've already decided to do it. That's just like your launch. You're not going to get there and go, forget it, and turn around and go home. So the just do it can be hard for people because they think, okay, this will get me through it. But again, that's forcing yourself. That's that
Yeah.
willpower, right? And the motivation is already there. That's just ready, set, go, which is awesome. So I've turned mine to don't talk, just do. Stop talking about it in your brain. Do one little action. If tying your shoe is that action, that activator, that's awesome. As you're going, I'm on my way. So celebrate the fact that you're doing something. And I used to tease clients of just go to the gym and people watch. I don't care. Just get in the habit of doing it every day. I don't care if
Show
you do
up.
5 sit-ups at home. You did 5 sit-ups. Yay. It's that action up. Celebrate the action. Don't forget to celebrate. That is part of your reward. And that's what really instills it in our lizard brains.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Stop having awkward small talks that kills connection. The solution is knowing how to ask powerful questions. I have a free guide for you that walks you through how to ask wonderful questions that people want to answer, that people are going to be like, that's a great question. I have to think about this. And it's all in my powerful free guide for you. These are going to be questions that you can ask other people, but also questions that you can ask yourself to go deeper into your own self-awareness. Get the free guide.
Thank you, Ronnie. This has been amazing. As we're wrapping up, what is one thing that you would love to lean in and really help us, again, just expand everything you've said? If you have that beautiful soundbite on us being unleashed and unstoppable.
You are never too old or too set in your ways to create a new good habit.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. This is such a powerful episode. I know this is really going to help all of us, including me. I'm going to go back and listen to this again because of the perspective that you put on it, even though what we do is so in alignment. Your voice and your way of putting this is powerful and helpful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing that. And I love being here with you two. And I hope I contributed to your audience, to our listeners. And I'm one of them. So
You
Ronnie,
did.
if our listener would like to connect with you in any way, what is the best way for them to reach out and learn more from you?
I'm sure you have it in the show notes, but my website is in there where you see different videos. There's a tab with different podcasts. There's also different videos with different clients of mine and some testimonials, and my speaker page in case you're looking for somebody to speak at your conferences or your summits or your business, development programs. So my website, and I'm always on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I would love to connect in there. So go in there. Yes, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. That's more social. But
Okay.
yes, love LinkedIn, love my website. So thank you for asking.
All right. Well, we can't wait to see you next week. And, I know this episode will definitely be on replay. We're so excited that Ronnie, you came in and gifted us with this super valuable information. Okay. See you next week. Ciao for now.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.